was afraid you were.
Okay, thank you, Bru. Remind me.
Never mind. Welcome. So, every time we talk about one aspect of the body and how yoga practices affect this part of the body, and I always feel, wow, it's so important. It's so essential. And we all know that when we do our yoga practices, our asanas, it, there's so much movement of the spine, with left, right, backwards, forward, twists. We do all kinds of things. And spinal flexibility is very important for our neurological, means the brain's health. And so, and we have talked about this last week. We said that actually with age, and 2/3 of our range of motion of the spine is slowly getting lost. And so we are losing the flexibility of the spine. And with losing the flexibility of the spine, we develop misalignment. Now, misalignment is going to affect how our internal organs, our glands function. And so Western science mentions that when the spine is out of shape, but first of all, it affects the blood flow to the brain. And so 50% of the blood that goes to the brain passes through arteries that are located in the spine. So if the spine is not functioning well, it is going to affect the blood flow to the brain. And this is how our minds get affected. And then, there's so many other aspects in your teacher's guide. I don't want to review everything in detail, but again, when the spine is misaligned, it affects the thyroid, it can affect the adrenal glands, and this again becomes a mental issue. And so when we read like this, we say, yeah, we have to do asanas more regularly. And Baba's system is unique. There's no other system in the world I have seen that tells you you have to do asana in the morning and asana in the evening. And twice a day, and we do only 4 or 5 asanas. Other people they do asanas for 1 hour. And then the second aspect that is so important for the spinal maintenance is the cerebral spinal fluid. And so we talked about that the hip adjustment. And again, I want to point out the choice of Baba's asana, and they are actually, again, um, different from other people. Um, I first want to show you the Garudasana. I don't know if you practice this pose, but when you do it, you'll find it strengthens the muscles on the lower back and the pelvic region. And so why Baba chose this, I think, is that by strengthening the lower back muscles and the pelvic muscles, we can keep our spine in the proper shape. And so this is one asana, and you know, maybe myself I've been diverted by attraction of common asanas, but in the last few weeks and actually months, we started focusing on Baba's asanas, and I see there's so much benefit. Of course, we have the chair pose. This is not Baba's version. And Baba's version is the hands are stretched forward. Um, and I don't know why Baba chose the hands forward. This is an interesting question. I find that when you move the hands upward, the pelvis twists forward more beautifully, and that helps you align the pelvis with the spine and the head. So it allows cerebrospinal fluid to move upwards more naturally. But anyway, with his hands forward, you also have it, but it's not as challenging and not as strong. And then we have now this pose, similar poses we find in other people's asana practice. What we don't find is the bhavasana. And I don't know if you practice this, but if you practice it, you also find it actually tilts the pelvis forward. When the pelvis is tilted forward, it helps the spinal alignment and it actually stimulates cerebrospinal fluid flow towards the brain. And so all of these poses, when you look at them in very detail, actually you find that they are so essential to, like what Baba said, for mental health and for our sadhana. And now today we are going to talk about the respiratory system. And again, Baba stresses breathing and during asana practice so much. And of course, Baba knows why. Baba has his reasons. And I try to offer some scientific versions of Baba's uh, guidelines and instructions. Mm, Today's Monday, so yesterday and the day before yesterday, we had a seminar here and on special yoga. And so we got special needs teachers, yoga teachers, parents with special needs children. And I found again that when we can introduce some scientific explanations for our yogic practices, it helps them very much. And so deepening our knowledge is not only good for our own practice, but actually also helps um, introduce Baba's concepts to the wider public. And so I encourage you very much to keep going. I know sometimes this material is not so easy to understand, but I hope you can keep reading and keep reviewing and then feel it in your own life. So breathing. And so Baba has actually introduces that there are two kinds of asanas. He introduces the Rechaka and Kumbhaka asana. Rechaka means exhalation. So there are some poses we do when we exhale, we enter the pose. And so, for example, Paschimottanasana or Dirga Pranam, we inhale when we come up and we exhale when we enter the pose. There are other poses actually that use inhalation when we go into the pose. And so, for example, Bhastrikasana is exhalation. Ukepa Mudra is inhalation. I don't know if you paid attention to that. For example, Bhujangasana, Cobra pose, we enter the pose upon inhalation. And so Baba divides this, he mentions this somewhere, and so in the yoga science, there are reasons why some poses have inhalations and some poses are entered upon exhalation. And in general, we can say Western science now sees that and breathing is not just like what the yogis say, important for chi, but Western science says that breathing affects how our heart function. It affects the blood flow or the circulation of the fluids in the brain. It affects digestion and endocrine activities. It affects the muscles and it affects blood flow, and it also affects our nerve system. So in many ways, breathing actually affects everything because you affect the glands, the nerves, the blood flow, you affect everything. And so breathing is very key to balancing and affecting our body. Now it's very interesting, and we use our lungs to breathe. The lungs themselves, they don't have muscles. And so the lung function depends on the diaphragm and the muscles of the ribs. So again, healthy muscles affect how we breathe. And now it's very interesting. Actually, last weekend, this I met a student and I taught him when he's autistic boy. And I taught him when he was 22. Now he's 33. And they don't know how to breathe. And many of these autistic children, they don't know how to breathe. And so they don't know how to breathe. And this actually upsets, I think, is one reason why their whole body mind connection is so lost. And so actually healthy breathing is so essential for our integrated personality. And so breathing we have to keep very much in mind during our practice. Now actually it's interesting that in our yoga practice we actually I don't see didn't see Baba introduce Kapalabhati. Maybe I'm wrong. We don't have this breath of fire, I think, in Ananda Marga system. And all our breathing is slow breathing. And the slow breathing, and it's very also interesting that through slow breathing, and so when we have slow inhalation, we maintain for the pause, we pause for some time for longer, and then we have slow exhalation, again we pause. That actually in the lungs you have more CO2 because you breathe slowly, your oxygen is already used up. But because you breathe slowly, your body will look for oxygen in other areas of the body, in other parts of the cells. So the body actually, when you do slow breathing, the result is that the body's capacity to produce oxygen and to bring oxygen into the blood flow increases. So the research shows that through slow breathing, and most yogis do this, that they have 15% higher capacity to absorb oxygen than people who don't do yoga. So I repeat this one more time because it defies kind of logic. But because people who practice this Kapalabhati, bring more oxygen into the lungs, but the effect is that the body's CO2 will come up. Okay, so there's a different effect. It's not a bad effect, but it's a different effect. So fast breathing, as in like in Kapalabhati, increases CO2 in the blood flow.
The other question: uh, how does it the oxygen that we breathe is coming from the lung going to the bloodstream? That is the oxygen that circulate through the bloodstream is generated by our body, or it is coming from the lung?
No, actually, of course, it's coming from the lungs, but you will find there is oxygen in cells, in different chemical bonds. And somewhere in your teacher's guide, uh, my English version is on page 50. If you see the formula is there, there's a
Uh,
picture, and if you look at it, it's CO2 and H2O make
okay.
H2CO3. So
Okay. Okay.
so what happens is that because oxygen and CO2 have to balance. If there's too much CO2 in the body, the body becomes alkaline. If there's too much O2, oxygen in the body, it becomes acidic. So the body cannot tolerate a big fluctuation in the in the amount of any of these. It must be balanced. So when the body realizes, and so when slow breathing, what happens is that you have more CO2 in the body. So the body finds, oh my, there's too much CO2. I have to find oxygen. So they will get the oxygen from the cells.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the oxygen that is stored in a different chemical bond will be released by the cells. So after you start normal breathing again, you will find that the body actually has higher levels of uh, oxygen um, capacity and this helps with brain function and this helps with stamina. And on the other hand, when you have more oxygen in the lungs with fast breathing, this breath of fire, kapalabhati, this kind of breathing, more oxygen comes quickly into the lungs, but the, the body cannot transport oxygen quickly from the lungs to the blood flow. But the carbon dioxide, the CO2 from the blood flow can move 40% faster into the lungs. So what happens is that
Oh,
the CO2 from the body goes to the lungs,
yeah.
and then the body will look in the cells for CO2. And so that means it increases the CO2 levels in the body, at least for some time. Now, both are good, okay? So, Kapalabhati, the good thing about increasing your body's alkaline levels, even if it's for a short time, the good thing is that it loosens the joints, which I don't know. I see some of you are still having fans on and all that. In the winter time in Taiwan, it gets very cold. People get stiff, and the joints get, you know, kind of
So
blocked.
more alkaline, meaning that more CO2 in the body, is
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Oh.
And so when there's more alkaline CO2, it removes the acid deposits in the joints, which helps loosen the joints. So in wintertime, people usually eat more heavy foods, acidic foods. Kapalabhati breathing helps them uh, balance some of this acidic input. And so you'll find when you look at India and where this Kundalini yoga, they promote this Kapalabhati breathing so much, it's the northern part of India. And there the diet is very much wheat, and flour, wheat flour, bread, and chapati. And they're closer to the Himalayas. The winters there get very cold. So there they develop more this breath of fire system. And but in our Ananda Marga yoga, we actually we don't have this, as far as I know. And we do slow breathing. Slow breathing, the benefit is that the capacity of our body to carry oxygen increases. So you will see that, if you see these long distance runners who are now all professional and they run marathons, part of their training is to do asanas. And one reason, of course, is to stretch their muscles. But another reason, I assume, is that they know that when they do the yoga, these runners have a higher oxygen uptake. So their stamina will increase. And this is very interesting thing again, that um, breathing has such a big change, can have such a big change. So, and if you practice asanas regularly for 6 months, usually people find already very big changes in the stamina, in your endurance. Yeah,
Dada,
yeah,
sorry, talking about, you just mentioned about the artistic child.
yeah.
Um, my son, he is autistic. He is 25 years old now.
Mm,
Um, when I started doing the meditation, uh, when I doing the Babanam Kewalam, uh, at that time, he he was getting more calm.
yeah,
I when he was next to me when I do pray, sometimes not
yeah.
comfortable because suddenly sometimes hit us.
Oh,
But when I starting doing the meditation Bhavanam Kevalam, it seems to be more calm.
yeah,
Um, I'm interested to teach him. Thought I thought I read previously that if we can teach him some asanas, it may help him. But I really don't have any idea how to teach him. Yeah, even like uh, yeah, for instance, like the one that you just mentioned, breathing. Uh, maybe you can teach me or maybe can share how
sure,
is the trick or something like that.
sure. You know there, uh, Kartikeya, do you live in Jakarta or where do you live?
Yes, I do live in Jakarta.
Okay. Um, yeah, but what we'll do, um, I think what you want to know, it takes more time than I can share
Yeah,
this evening. So what we'll join a personal WhatsApp, we link up, and then I can share with you some of my experience.
sure, sure.
What I know,
If
what I like to share because this may affect everybody also, benefit everybody
yeah,
is um, like the mother who brought her son with her this time for our workshop, and in my workshop it actually was focused more on kindergarten, elementary school age. And
mm,
then I found out, or the parents who came, they were all having these bigger children in senior high school or already graduated and whatever. And so I apologized to them. I said my teachings are more playful. And she said, there's something that touched me very much. She said, I so much want my son to learn through play. And
mm,
so, and when we do asanas with this, some we have to play games.
mm,
Be, we have to be very, uh, yeah. Sometimes it's a little bit rajasic, but still it encourages them to develop their body awareness. And I think this is one big aim of our special, actually all kids yoga, but any also special yoga program is the body mind integration. Is that what he really wants, what a child really wants, is that he can use his body to do that. And we played some games, and I saw that big 33 years old. You cannot say it's a boy, it's a man actually. But
mm,
he the first time I saw he was self-motivated to to move. And before
mm,
everything what his mother does, he will copy. What his mother says, turn left, he turns left, and like that. And but
yeah,
the games, with the yoga games we did, I saw he was self-motivated, moving his own body, and
mm,
I would very much encourage to that we use this in a playful way.
yeah, yeah. I did bring him once here in Jakarta, and uh, he followed the move, but yeah, I'm not bring him often enough. So I I may have myself have to be more disciplined, I guess, to bring him. You know, like recently, oh, every night, almost he almost stay all night, stay awake all night, and I'm really got no idea what how. Yet just for him is, if he does not sleep, and then all of us at home no sleep at all.
Yeah, so
So
actually, yeah, I know this because the group we used to teach here at the same situation, they would come every week for yoga. Now, you remember we discussed before that if people cannot sleep, what part of the nerve system is overexcited?
yeah,
Sympathetic or parasympathetic?
mm,
Do you remember
okay,
we discussed? So the
yeah,
sympathetic
yeah, yeah,
is overexcited, and there can be many reasons for that. So we have to do the asanas that promote the parasympathetic nerve system. And so if a child or if a person is cannot sleep all night, then we have to we have to make them do asanas like Paschimottanasana or Yoga Mudra or Shashangasana, and all forward bending poses, very gentle with breathing, slow breathing and relaxation.
mm,
When I had my group regularly here, and I'm trying to start it again now, um, my parents used to tell me every night they have to keep an eye on their son. They cannot
yeah,
sleep because he doesn't sleep. But when he
yeah.
does yoga, he will sleep.
Mm. I
So
think so that I mean, I, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it. I think it will help,
yeah. So
because one time I took him just take a walk, and then probably like you know uh lose some energy, and then he gets some sleep.
okay.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, that maybe sometime we can have more chat. Yeah,
sure,
discussion, I guess.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, so breathing, we have two basic effects. Slow breathing increases oxygen uptake, and fast breathing, like in other yoga systems, increases CO2, which helps limber up. And so, as a warm up in winter time, Kapalabhati breathing may be useful. Or, for example, if you find person is low in energy, then Kapalabhati is also a good thing to bring up the energy, especially like sometimes you know um, you don't feel so energized, but when you do some fast breathing, suddenly your blood flow increases and you feel more dynamic. So we talked about the muscles and then the importance of strengthening the diaphragm for breathing. And so this is the practice of our asanas. And so when you see Baba's poses, he has some abdominal strengthening poses also. So strengthening the core and the diaphragm. We move to the breathing and the brain. Oh, sorry, asthma, bronchial pathways. And so let's say you have somebody who has breathing difficulties or has asthma. Now, Baba has given some very powerful guidelines, and my experience, and people, Baba says people who have asthma should not eat after sunset, and if they eat, then only maybe fruit or light food. So this is very useful, and Western science looks at breathing or asthma or allergies, and it is because there is um, the muscles get triggered by by glandular activity in the bronchial pathway. So the glands and the hormones in the bronchial pathway become triggered, and this affects the muscles, and there becomes spasms, and we get these coughs. So again, breathing can help control these muscle spasms, and slow breathing can help in this. Um, we've talked about this controlling the diaphragm, and another part that affects our capacity for breathing is the sternum. And so the sternum will become more calcified, so with age. And so if we don't use it properly, it becomes harder and stiffer, and it doesn't allow us to expand our chest properly anymore. So this restricts the breath. Now in our yoga asanas, we keep on using the full lung capacity. And so this is another important part. Baba says, Western science says this happens after age of 40. So healthy breathing, maintaining healthy breathing is a good thing for our long-term health. Now here I want to mention, I think I didn't mention this in the teacher's guide. Usually when we breathe and we do shallow breathing, so we change the air in the upper lungs. And usually the lower lungs, the air is stale. And so means to say that there's air in the lungs, but we don't change that part of the lungs that much, because we don't really take full breaths and then we exhale. So we usually just have superficial breathing. So we change, Western science says 10% of oxygen in our lungs in most normal breathing when we are just busy with our life. So inverted poses help clean up the, the, the lower parts of the lungs, and this helps the whole lung capacity and become more aware of the whole lung capacity. So most of the blood goes to the upper lungs normally, because that is where the healthy air is, and they don't get the healthy air in the lower lungs. So regular inversions can help with using full lung capacity, and so that we don't keep air stuck in the lower lungs. And so sometimes, I don't know if you noticed, when you do an inversion and you start to cough, and usually that is part of the phlegm that may be stuck also in the lower parts of the lungs. Maybe it's in the bronchial pathways, but anyway, it helps clean up the whole breathing system, and this is benefits again our whole assimilation, the nutrition, and the brain. Now we come to the brain. Now in yoga we learn that when we inhale and then we pause, and during the pause, our perception is more clear. And so, I don't know if you learned this, but usually if we see something scary, the first thing is we hold our breath, and then that time when we hold our breath, our sense organs take in information. Sorry. Now, Western science says that when we inhale, our brain moves slightly forward. When we exhale, our brain slightly moves backward. But when we hold our breath and we pause, the brain is immobilized. So, this calmness of the brain and the physical movement of the brain helps function it better. And so that's why also in meditation, I think we all know that when you go into a deep flow, nice bhava, you don't want to breathe actually. You just like to hold and you like to hold and you like to hold. And because that sensitivity during the holding, at least from the brain side, if you want to apply the brain science, it once you start breathing, your brain moves and you lose that kind of silence that you so much feel. Um, pranayama, pranayama in the brain, so that controlled breath. And so when we hold our breath, it lowers cortisol in the body and cortisol in the brain. Now, we already know that cortisol and the stress hormone is kind of poison to the whole body. So, pranayama is very helpful in developing relaxation. And here, it also says it increases chemical messages to the chemicals that interact with nerves and pass better. In this regard, I like to mention that Baba said that without pranayama, you cannot actually do deep dhyan. And, and Baba said this somewhere in Anandavachanamritam, I think, and so without pranayama, Baba said that without pranayama, one cannot really do dhyan. And so here we can see some of the reasons, and that if our breath is not stabilized, of course you can say it's the chi and the prana. From the Western science, and this is what we try to introduce here, is that the brain keeps on moving backward, forward, and there are less chemical messengers for the nerve functions, so the nerves cannot really function as smoothly as when you hold your breath. Okay, so we have talked about the capacity for the body to absorb oxygen. We go to lateral nose breathing, and so we have left nostril and a right nostril. And simply said, the left nostril connects to the right brain, the right nostril connects to the left brain. And so I always explain to people that if you want a good brain function, you have to use both your left and right nostrils. Now there is a rhythm for left and right nostril that one of them can dominate more than, and other times the other one will dominate more. And so Western science has done research on these things, and they say most people normally this changes every few hours, especially after taking food. And so they don't really look at the yogic science that, oh, when you take food, more energy is needed for the digestive process, and so the left nostril gets blocked more. And they look at the anatomical observation, the things they can see. And So here I put a table in your teacher's guide, and where it shows left and right nostril and some of the functions that Western science actually connects to each side. So the left nostril, when open, more dominant, um, more receptive mood, more introspective. Now this we totally agree. And right nostril is more aggressive attitude. And so this is Western science observation. It's very interesting. Left nostril is open, is more passive. And of course, right nostril is more vigorous. Now here they say left nostril is open, promotes digestion of liquids. Oh, okay. And right nostril is open, promotes eating and digestion of solid foods. This is also very interesting. I didn't realize liquids means, let's say we want to keep the left nostril open, liquids won't affect it. Hmm. Left nostril open reduces body heat. It's interesting. Left nostril decreases the blood pressure. It's also an interesting observation. Left nostril induces depression. I don't know, sometimes I feel Western science, they look at introspection and they think when people are too introverted, they are depressed. um, but anyway, this is their observation. And number 7, diffuse mental state. I think that's beautiful. Did you see this one, number 7? The left nostril is open, you have a more diffuse mental state. And number 8, you have higher right brain activity, parasympathetic activation. Left nostril is open, helps imaginative thinking, intuition, subjective decisions, means you use your feeling to decide things. You see the bigger picture. Good for music, singing, and you maintain your energy balance. I think these are very beautiful points actually. So these are observations from Western scientists. And now in yoga there is a path, a practice of yoga they call Swara yoga, and they only work with the breathing. And so, for example, when they wake up in the morning, when they find out their left nostril is blocked, they will first use their right foot to step on the floor. And they say this helps them open the left nostril. So when they find they are sick, and then they look at which nostril is dominant, and then they will open the other nostril, because when somebody is sick, and let's say the right nostril is dominant, then they feel, the body needs more left nostril energy. And so these Swara yogis, they apply this in every detail of their lives for good health. And I didn't see that they use this for spiritual awakening so much, but I guess maybe it's there. And this is an interesting thing. I don't know about you, but when they go to sleep, they first turn on the left side. Now, turn on the left side, your right nostril opens up. Now, the right nostril opens up, it warms the body. And then they turn on the right side, and that helps to, left nostril opens up and it relaxes the body. Now, I don't know about you, but actually, I didn't read, before I read this is my habit. And I always wondered myself, why do I like to first lie down on my left side? And now I learned, it helps the right nostril activates the body warming, body circulation. And then I turn on my right side, I relax. Very interesting. And so nasal balance is also connected to mental health. And so if a person uh, doesn't have a regular cycle, left-right cycle, it also affects their ability to express themselves as individuals. And that may increase anxiety and stress. Now, this is all Western observations on left and right. Of course, there's more, but now in our yoga practice, we learn that oh, if our left nostril is blocked, we lie on the right side, and then slowly the left nostril will unblock, and then we do our asanas and our practices. And this is in your teacher's guide, I put a picture. So there they say, I tried, but it doesn't work for me. So for example, I want to open my left nostril. They say you bring your hand under the armpit of the opposite side. And so they say, and this is Western science, I saw their understanding is to activate the left nostril, you have to stimulate, put pressure on the armpit on the right. And I don't know if anybody of you has seen this before. And so if you want to, like in the picture, they catch both sides. This helps balance both left and right. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to share about the respiratory system. I don't know if anybody wants to add something or comment something or ask something about the breathing and Didyananda Suveda, any questions?
Yeah, can you little bit explain about this breathing and the brain, about this Antara Kumbhaka and Baya Kumbhaka?
Oh yeah, actually, so from where I can, you want me to explain from the yoga side or from the Western side?
I think from the Western side.
Yeah.
Both.
I knew you were going to say both. But anyway, we'll focus on the Western side, okay? And the main point is that um, during inhalation and exhalation, your brain moves forward and backward physically. And that affects its functioning. But when you hold your breath or you keep exhaled, and just during kumbhaka, your brain physically will be stable, and this affects the calmness of the mind. Western science says like this. So that is something we try to promote, I think, with our asanas and our breathing. That is one reason of the breathing. About the pranayama, and so in the pranayama, this research shows it reduces the stress. Now cortisol, and usually is secreted by the adrenal glands, but cortisol also gets secreted by the brain. And this is very interesting that the brain actually also has these stress hormones. So breathing, and it doesn't specify where it comes from, but anyway, breathing, um, slow breathing, holding the breath, and like in pranayama, it uh, it increases our thinking. It increases how we use our brain, and it increases the messengers. And here I didn't mention, I think, but usually they speak about GABA. GABA is one of those neurotransmitters. So they measure the levels of GABA, in the body, and they find in meditators or those who practice yoga asanas in a very gentle way, the GABA levels are higher, and which means that the nerves function better. Now, this is again something we see in these autistic children, and that their nerve system is actually um, not smooth, and so things move very slowly and very uh, um, how to say this, not coordinated. And so breathing, meditation, or even like kirtan, and we mantra, I think, I don't know if we are going to talk about mantra Western science. I think we have something. And so the main point is that the nerve system functions better when we can breathe slowly and hold the breath. Now, like in Taiwan, for special needs, the parents, they take their children to swimming to learn how to breathe. Because when they're in the water, underwater, they have to hold their breath. And when they learn to hold their breath, they can learn how to speak. And so these are all connected. And so good breathing is one step to learning, developing verbal expression. And this ability in many autistic children is lacking. And so breathing helps balance, whether it's holding inhalation or holding after exhalation, and it helps to um, stabilize the brain. In our yoga system, we always say that it's the prana. And we'll come to the prana later, okay? So let's focus here on this Western science. So good breathing is a step to good brain health. DDT, any question? Didyananda Suveda.
Okay. Just now you mentioned about this GABA. Actually, when I read that, I still don't understand what is GABA.
Well, GABA, GABA is a neurotransmitter, and if you have more neurotransmitters in your system, it shows that your nerves function better. So Western scientists, when they want to see the effect of meditation on neural function, they measure GABA levels. So when they see people do meditation, they have higher GABA levels, then they say, oh, yeah, it helps the nerves function. So for example, when you see like autistic children who are already so much uh, locked up in their own world and have difficulty connecting, they don't get stimulation much from outside, or they don't process things so well, and then they, not everybody's like that, but anyway, the ones I met, they you'll see that their nerves don't function well. Their bodies shake, or they may be easily under stress. And so if your GABA levels are up, you also, stress doesn't affect you so much because your nerve functions better. But if your GABA levels are low, and this is just an indicator only, but if your GABA levels are low, it means your nerves easily get overloaded. And so Western science, they see GABA levels are helpful. So higher, more GABA, that meditators, they don't get overheated emotionally so quickly. Or there's work pressure, but don't lose their temper. And this means that the nerves function in a healthy way. But so if people do regular meditation and they do proper meditation, they will find that they go through the day's problems without being affected so much. And one reason is the neurotransmitters function better. So again, if you're under stress, the GABA levels go down, and then you get more uptight and you easily lose your temper. Does it make sense now to you?
Yes. Can I ask another question? Actually, this is a before when we talk about the varieties. I think Baba also mentioned that we should control our variety, but as we know, like fifth chakra above, they are all the positive varieties. So, do we need to control the positive varieties?
Very interesting question. If you want to have liberation, you only want to keep Ananda Vritti. You only want to move towards bliss. You don't want any occult powers. You don't want to be the queen of the universe. You only want to merge with him. So you want to leave behind all these special qualities of the fifth and sixth chakra. And one reason why Baba said he keeps the key to occult powers in his pocket means that it's a very dangerous chakra because it's so easy to get absorbed in these powers, because your even though your ego actually is already dissolved so much that you develop the abilities of the cosmic mind, still there is such possibility for downfall. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question this way correctly. Didi?
Yeah, I think it's other. Yeah, anyway, you explain from the other angle. I'm just thinking positive, negative. And if it's a positive, why do we need to control it?
Actually, Baba says control, or Baba says redirect towards supreme consciousness. I think Baba guides us towards liberation. And for example, we have somebody, and she's into one group, and they talk about Akashi. Akashi means ether, means the fifth chakra. So in their group, they don't go for liberation. They want to develop the fifth chakra powers. And so they want to manifest whatever they think will become reality. They want to be able to bless people. So they want to use the fifth chakra powers. So they don't have this objective of liberation. And they don't follow yoga, but I think there must be something. So it is, we can say, yeah, maybe I should not have said negative, positive, because it's all subjective at some point. Even the positive qualities can become negative when you want to go for the ultimate. And so this is something maybe I should correct. And for a devotee, occult powers are not positive. But they don't bring us down if our mind is connected towards Paramapurusha. All right, so we've started to talk about Vritti. So I want to move on to the yoga of emotions. And so here, last week actually I gave some homework, but I was not clear, and I got distracted, so we just move on. We don't think too much. I think so. This is. I wanted to move on with you to the third chakra, and the third chakra, and here is one activity that I very much want to introduce is how we can see the connection between uh, similar vrittis but at different chakras. And so we have the, for example, we have fear, and fear at the second chakra. It means lack of confidence, and so it becomes a triangle. And just trying to show you the triangle. There are three chakras: second, third, and fourth chakra, and they have many uh, similar vrittis, but with a different drive, with a different force. And so second chakra, we have this lack of confidence, avishwasa. Now, in the third chakra, which vritti would you connect with that one? Anybody, any idea? You can look at in your teacher's guide, and you can look at the vrittis. Third chakra vrittis. Which vritti would connect with lack of confidence?
I think Raja, shame.
Yeah, Laja is possible, and there is another one which may be more similar.
Melancholy.
I think that's depression.
Oh.
Shyness.
There is one more. Check the
Shyness.
last one.
Raja,
Chakra.
Raja.
Baya. I
Oh,
think Baya means fear, right? And
Mm.
so you have lack of confidence, then you have fear, and then now how about the first chakra? Which one would you connect there?
Anutapa,
There's another one I would suggest more similar.
Cinta,
Yeah. Chinta we translate here as worry, right? And but actually it means you consider a lot, and you consider, oh, is this right or that right? You think a lot, and it's based in fear, and most of the time, of course, also there is a compassionate consideration. Now, how about so avagya we have done. How about murcha? Second chakra murcha means. Sometimes I get confused. I know how to say things in Chinese, and sometimes I forget the English for it. Murcha, what did we say? It's murcha is
Inertia.
murcha. A second chakra murcha means you're stuck. Okay, mentally you're stuck. So you're blocked. You're immobilized. You become passive, withdrawn. So in the third chakra, we have a similar, very similar.
is it
Stay.
Susupti?
Yeah, susupti. And susupti means su means deep, supti sleep. So susupti means very similar. You're blocked. Now, how about the first chakra?
I think it Vikalata.
Yeah, I would suggest that too. So vikalata is also this state where you live with hope, and then you don't know. But yeah, very nice. Thank you. Then another one. Um, another one. I want. We start again from. Let me change. Let's start from. Okay, let's start from cruelty, krurata, second chakra. So person is cruel, abusive. How about third chakra? There is a lot of abuse at the third chakra.
Vishunata.
Pishunata, yeah, another one. There are more, okay? You can, it's not just, so because there are more vrittis, so the second chakra we have 6 vrittis, so third chakra 10 vrittis. So there is, you can find that some of these cruder expressions at the second chakra become different vrittis on higher chakras. So what else is there? What else would you consider?
Irisha. Irsha.
That means jealousy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And more cruel. And jealousy doesn't always translate in cruelty, but Pishunatha, and there is another one I would suggest. What do you think about Kusaya?
Yeah, Kasaya.
Kusaya.
Giving.
It's in
Yeah.
Baba's books, both
And
spirits.
sorry, interruption, Namaskar.
Yeah.
Your voice is unclear, you see, bro. Thank you, Namaskar.
Oh, I'm trying so hard. Okay, and then how about the fourth chakra? What cruelty do you see in the fourth chakra?
Vitaka.
Vikalata, that's, yeah, it's aggressive, okay, but there are other vrittis.
Vitaka.
Vitarka, I think that's what she mentioned just before. Vitarka, how about Lolata? And Lolata, I think, is also an abusive quality that can translate it into, exploitation and very self-centered. Okay, so this is personal choice. Okay, so it doesn't always. It's like krurata also can be, maybe third chakra can be griha, means hatred, and this ahamkara sometimes is positive, sometimes negative. It's also this one I have to. In January, I have a chance to ask somebody in India. I hope to find an answer to this. Now, for example, a person is prasraya. Prasraya affects their thinking from the second chakra. So means addiction, and so means you need something external to make your mind balanced. So which one would you consider on the third chakra?
Trishna. Maybe it can become an ambition
No, I
because
don't.
you.
Yeah, means work, but doesn't mean always negative, always so. We mentioned one time that Trishna also can be for social service is a positive quality. There is one, keep in mind, this is an immature mind. So the mind is not strong, immature, and requires externals to balance itself.
Moha.
Yeah, moha. That's what I was fishing for. I was hoping you would find moha because moha means blind attachment. And again, it means the the immature mind that runs after an external personality. Now, how about the fourth chakra? What would you connect with this kind of personality? Again, external requires external things to make that person feel self-worth or value.
Damba.
Yeah, I think so. And so I think again it's damba and vanity. So these are problems we see in society actually. Yeah, so we can triangulate these different um, aspects of the personality. Now, the final thing I want to discuss today is activity 10, initiation. And you know, in Ananda Marga system, we Baba says 12, at the age of 12, should get formal initiation. I see acharyas in Taiwan, they even start at 10. And so the I don't know in Indonesia or Vietnam or where other places where how acharyas go about it now, but initiation and the ideally should start when the third chakra becomes more active, and we see that problems at the second chakra means you can handle within the family. The problems at the third chakra, they become social problems. And if there's hatred, there's jealousy, there is fear, and these problems all can translate into maybe violence or dangerous behavior or um, yeah, they can become just not socially adjusted. So in Anandamarga system, the third chakra means that adolescence develops more. We hope the child can get guidance towards a spiritual goal in life. And actually, myself, we have been doing this children's yoga for so many years. And now we focus on junior high school. And so junior high school, this age will help, will help, if we can help them uh, pass through this, you know, challenge of different emotions, then I think it can benefit their own life and social life. Now, initiation in many societies, and not Ananda Marga, but for example, the Jewish society or the tribal systems, they have initiation also for these teenagers. And so they all recognize the importance of bringing spirituality or bringing this age, the children of this age, into the spiritual community and into the spiritual practices. And now we can do that with our Margis more naturally. And though I sometimes actually also see many Margis families, they struggle. In Taiwan, we have programs for university students. And so university students, they are encouraged for meditation through programs. The teenagers, I don't see much happening here. But when you look at the vrittis at the third chakra, which they become more active during the puberty, then you find actually there's much need for giving direction to this age group. And I don't know what if anybody is working on teenagers or have any ideas about working on with teenagers. Didyananda Suveda, you know everybody much better than me.
No idea, but I think according to Baba's guidance, the kids from 5 years old, they can start initiation, means Nama Mantra, and 12 years old, they can get start with the first lesson.
Yeah. So, but do we have any programs to help that age group enter spiritual, this kind of community and the practices? During
No.
retreats, do you have anything for teenagers?
No, I don't think so. I think in Malaysia and in Bali, Malaysia, they have a youth camp.
Ah.
I have teenager group. I work with a teenager.
You do, right?
Yeah, I
In
have
this,
children from very small but until 17, 18, 19 years old.
yeah. Yeah, so they stay with you, so you have the
Yeah.
very, they are already used to your guidance.
Environment. Yes.
Yeah, very nice. Actually, I'm so much concerned with the wider society that how can we bring this aspect into the wider environment? Because, like in Taiwan, which is kind of a kind of very restrained society, many teenagers now are exposed to drugs. And so drug taking, and you have seen this prasraya, moha, this becomes, if there is a weakness it can become a problem in their lives. And I so much feel that we have something to offer. And I think we have to find a practical way to apply this. And so we don't need, maybe it's not really formal initiation like with an acharya and you get initiation. Initiation, in my understanding, also can mean like learning kirtan, learning asana, learning breathing, sentient diet. And initiation has many levels. It doesn't really mean that you really, you know, yeah, of course, if they can connect to the past, it in a wholehearted way is the best. But I was thinking for general public, if we can bring something into the society to help this age group. So, Lalita, in Vietnam, you don't have any activity for this age?
Well, before, usually in yearly retreat, Sister Avaida was assigned to do like program for the kids and the teenagers. Now she moved to run the center with me. We started from last year to during the summer that we tried at least once a year to have a youth camp for the teenager or the preteen children. So last year we did one, and this year we also did one.
So you mean preteen is like before?
Like the children from 10 years old, they already joined the camp. This year we have from 10 to 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how long is your camp? How many days?
3 days and 2 nights. And how to say, we also like don't really like impose too much Anandamaga way, but like just gently lead them, like a lot of energetic games activity, like just first they need to feel like they have fun
Yeah,
to
right.
in this camp, and they make friends, and from that then we can guide them slowly, like maybe this year they have an impression to have fun, and then next year we can move a little bit deeper, like if we bombard it with something very deep and long, that it doesn't work. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Actually, yeah, in Taiwan we started actually many years ago. It's very hard because this age group is usually under a lot of academic pressure.
Sure. Yes.
And so it really depends on the parents whether they want to send their kids or not.
Yeah. So that's why for this summer camp, we open for not only for the local, but like for the children of Magi, so they fly from other city. So yeah, because the children from Magi's family, they at least have the background, and like yeah. So like we're trying to attract children from all over Vietnam. Yeah.
Very nice. But we have here we have this summer and winter camps, and every summer, every winter we have this camp, and we have 4 days, 3 nights, and every morning children get up at 6 to do meditation.
Yeah.
We do chanting and kirtan, then meditation, and then we do asanas till 7:30, and then
Bye bye.
and they
Hey,
follow.
hey.
And when they go home, they teach parents. So actually, this is a very interesting. But mostly we get kids who are younger. We don't get the bigger kids. So I was very curious to know if anybody. Anyway, I wanted to share with you from the Vritti point of view, this age group is very sensitive. And Baba mentioned in his writings that if by 15 somebody gets the chance to be in touch with Supreme Consciousness, life will develop very smoothly. And so I think this kind of Baba's guidance is so clear, and I always keep this in mind because I remember my teenager years were not so easy, and so I would like to help others to avoid this. Okay, so I think for today we have done a lot already. So we have talked about the respiratory system. We have talked about this. We have reviewed the spine from last week. We mentioned that Baba has some specific asanas which actually work very much on the pelvic alignment with spine and brain. And I think this is healthy to practice. And Lalita, I want to ask you about this chair pose. Because Baba's chair pose version is hands stretched forward. And do you do Baba style or do you use the hands?
We do both. We
Uh,
do both, Brother Dutramohan.
You are such a great devotee.
To be honest, we do both.
Yeah. What do you feel is the difference?
I also feel this jabos it help the spine is more straightened.
Keep in track, next time when you do it, pay attention to the pelvis because it gets twisted forward. And I think this is one of the main objectives because the same happens in the Bhavasana. And Bhavasana, I don't see many people practice it, but actually when you practice it, you realize the pelvic line and brain alignment becomes so smooth, and it changes how you walk. And then the Garudasana, we mentioned, it strengthens the muscles, so to keep the pelvis in a proper position. And so these are actually very good practices in Baba's system. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Didyananda Raga. This about this homework. I kind of slipped through it. I think I would like you to read about parents, activity 11. And this is much about trauma. And there is much to discuss about this. And I think many of you, especially if you have children's homes or you have been in schools for a long time, you have seen a lot of family trauma reflected in the children. And so if you have time, please read activity 11. And next week, we will move on from the respiratory system to the digestive system. Okay, so if you have time, you want to prepare, just go through it. Thank you, everybody, and hope to see you all next week again. Namaskar.
Namaskar, thank
Namaskar.
you.